All right, guys. So this is my little clay workstation, my at-home clay workstation. As you can see, I got an old towel that's already got like bleach stains on it, and it's not very nice. And I laid that down. It'll be nice. I can, if I get some clay on it, I can take it outside, shake it, and then put it in the laundry, and hopefully that'll cut down on some of the mess. But as you can see, I have my spray bottle. If you have a spray bottle for water, that'd be great. If not, you can just wring out paper towels. I have a container for water so I can get little fingertips full of water as I work. I have my canvas square. Oh, another weird sculpture Miss Thomas is currently working on. My sketch for my Daruma. And then I have all of my tools, my sponge, and my slip. And the tools do include a paintbrush. That's really a handy one. You're also going to want to make sure that you have bags to cover up your in progress work. If any air gets on it, it's going to start hardening and it's going to cause you trouble. You want to make sure that everything is sealed up appropriately. And here I use saran wrap. You can also use plastic bags. You just got to make sure that I would double bag it or double saran it to make sure that it is safe. This is a lot easier to do if this is taped down. Hopefully we'll get to wedge in class, but you take the sides and then you just put your body weight into the middle. And that just kind of homogenizes your clay particles. And you want to do it for about a minute, 2 minutes. And it rolls it. You see the side, it rolls it. You get a little monkey face. And you're folding it in on itself. And that, my friends, is wedging. You can also do it by throwing it on the table, but that's the only place we throw it on is the table. You don't throw it across the room. But that also kind of helps get some of the air bubbles out. And then I'm going to go ahead and I knock it into kind of like a workable, soft, kind of rectangular square, just to get it ready. I'm going to go ahead and get it ready. So I have one of these. You can use a plastic knife to cut it down the middle, but I'm going to do my best to get two kind of even blocks or squares of clay. Look at that. There's hardly any air bubbles. I maybe see like 1 or 2, but since we wedged it, it's pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my pinch pot. I'm going to just continue to square it off a little bit. You don't want to work it so much that it dries out. You want to keep it plastic. Okay, so now I'm going to, after it's become a square, I'm going to use my palm and I'm going to hit it into more of a sphere. Now I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to stick it in there and I'm going to start pinching it out. And I have long fingernails, so it's going to get kind of nasty at first, but I'll have to smooth that out later. But I'm using the palm of my hand to nestle my clay ball as I carefully pinch. And you only want to like squeeze it a little bit as you're pinching, and you want to try and get it like, if I can look at this and I can see right here is getting a little bit thinner than everything else. So I'm going to try and avoid putting as much pressure there. And you can also see I'm gripping so that it's as an even pinch as I can get it, while also keeping it cupped in that ball of my hand. And I'm trying to get that bottom is going to be interesting. So I'm going to decide that this is going to be my bottom of my double barrel pinch pot. And I'm going to try and leave that a little bit thicker. I might even add a little to the bottom. Again, you don't want it more than thumb thick. And even thumb thickness is a little bit much. You're pushing your boundaries there. If you get it thumb thick. So I'm gonna keep going. My clay is still pretty good plastic. I'm not needing to get too much more water, but if you do need to get water, you only want to get it on your fingertip. So I'm going to try and show you, like, just get a fingerprint's worth of water at a time if it's starting to crack and dry out, because you see that even that much is takes the clay some time to absorb that water into it, and you can very easily get it too wet to really work with. So now I'm going to try and avoid the bottom, and I'm going to just work on my side walls. And I am getting some like finger indentions, but we can get rid of those later, so don't worry too much about those. And I'm going to urge you to get closer to like pencil thin with this pinch pot. On the sides, not the very bottom. That one we want to be a little bit weighted more because we want our Daruma to pop back up. And in order for them to do that, they have to be weighted at the bottom a little bit to do that. And so right now I do have the desire to like use both of my hands to pinch, which, I mean, that's not horrible. Like, I get it. I'm wanting to do that, and so I might do that, but just be careful because you want those sides to go into your palm to be. And if you have long nails, this is going to be kind of a pain in your butt. Like, I understand. Usually if I'm doing a lot of ceramics, my nails are no longer long. I just was being lazy today about not cutting them off. Once you get it, and my walls I think do need to still become a little bit thinner. And then I pat it a little bit down to get those . And now I got my little pinch pot. He's a little bit domey, but that's okay. That works out for what we need it to do. And you'll see if I push it, it'll pop back up. And that's what we're looking for in creating our Daruma. So now we need to make one more of these, okay? And I'm going to put this one over to the side to set up. So we can see that these are basically the same size. So that's both of our openings. That's good. I'm going to take the time to go ahead and try and smooth out all these cracks with just a fingerprint's worth of water at a time. Some of them you don't really, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just kind of getting it prepped, giving your clay a drink. We asked it to do a lot of expanding, so it's nice to go ahead and give it a drink. So we have our two pinch pots. This one's my bottom, where I left a little thicker at the bottom. So he'll bounce back up when we need to remind ourselves to persevere. I've gone ahead and tried to give my clay a little bit of a drink, get it smooth. If you want to even do the center, you can use your sponge, but the thing about if you're going to use your sponge, sorry, I'm super zoomed in here. When you're going to use your sponge, you got to get most of that moisture out. You do not want a ton of moisture in there. And even this might get it a little bit too plasticky. You might have to go wash your hands, walk away for a while. Let it set up a little. I'm gonna get them extra smooth. Smooth them out. Oh, I got some clay resting or water resting in the bottom. I don't want that. And even try to do the thing a little bit. Make sure that it can, the bottom is prepared to do that. And I also kind of hit it a little bit on the table. Okay. So, and again, I'm gonna do my best to kind of hit them on the table, get them flat. Those lips flat, because we're gonna score and slip them together. And even now, it looks like my bottom might be a little bit larger than my top, so I'm gonna come back to my top, and I'm gonna pinch it out just a little bit more. Pinch them out just a little bit more. And then we'll put them back on there, see if they more or less line up, and now they're lining up a little bit better again. So we're gonna go ahead and score and slip our double barrel pinch pot together. So I'm going to use my little tool here with its scrapies, and I'm going to score the sides. Which means you're kind of cross hatching we're gonna slip, and I use a brush, and this is in fact a glazing brush, but you can also just as easily use your finger. That's totally fine. And hopefully your slip is maybe a little bit more, it's absorbed the water a little bit more. I tried to make this morning, so there's still a lot of clay in the slip, but it'll still work. So you can use your finger to put some of that slip on there. You can use a brush. And sometimes the slip can be so watery that you're almost erasing your scoring. So what I also recommend is after you slip, you're going to score again. Just to kind of, any of those places that you erased, come back in there. It gets just nice and textured and super wet with that slip. All right, so now both of them are scored and slipped. Scored again. We're gonna take them and try and keep their little circular shapes, and we're gonna boop them together. And now I'm going to blend the seam. And we might make a coil in order to blend that seam. But first, I'm going to just try and do it with what clay is there. And then we'll probably also add a coil. So now we have officially welded our two pinch pots together. All right, but now we have this like indention, this weird indention right here. So we want to get rid of that, and we're going to do that by making a coil. So you're going to get a little piece of clay, all right? And we are going to you want to square it off first. Kind of like a little rectangle. I get a little rectangle. And then once you have that rectangle formed, you're going to twist it just a little bit. And then you're going to use that palm of your hand, not your fingers, the palm of your hand. And you can keep twisting it, and use that palm to roll it out. You use your fingers, it gets uneven. But with your palm, it helps. And if you ever hear it flip-flopping like that, flip, plunk, 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 stop what you're doing, twist it, hand. Okay? Use that palm of your hand. Once it gets long enough, you can use both palms. But it's not important that we have like one really long coil, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this guy in half. And yes, at a seam, kind of like at an angle. And I'm going to go ahead, I might even give him a little drink of water. Again, just your fingerprint, nothing more. You see it cracking, that's what you want to do. I'm applying like little bits of pressure, but not a lot. Really try and think about how much pressure you're putting on your clay at any given time, be it pinching, coiling, carving. And I'd say I want to go a little bit small, just a little bit smaller with this guy. All right. And even with this, we're going to score and slip this guy onto our area. So we're going to score. Okay, so we slipped and scored again on our coil. And then we're going to, oh, I forgot to just go ahead and re-score where we're going to put our coil a little bit. And then we put them on there. Let's see if I can, my camera will autofocus to that spot. There we go. And you're not putting a whole lot of pressure. Okay, so now we have this coil here. We're going to, and I think it needs a little bit of water. So I put my sponge, I squeeze the water out of my sponge. And we're just going to make sure that it's nice and plastic right there. Not super wet. Get that water out of your sponge. And we're going to blend that excess coil into our bottom pinch pot. And the same thing with the top. So we're blending them. And I'm using a tool. You can use your finger. I'll probably switch to my finger in just a second. This would be probably another good spot for like a plastic knife. Maybe not the serrated part. And if he's splitting because you're holding it down, I was doing that mostly for the camera, but you can pick, it's probably smarter to do it this direction. I was doing it so you could see. But, or holding the whole piece in your hands. And then just blending that coil into your sides. And if there's still a little bit of an indentation, that's okay. You can, once you have it all together, you can really do a lot by just like gently squeezing. Using that slightly damp sponge just to get them in there. But for me, I think at least the way mine is designed, because I want to make a more traditional one, it will kind of work out for me to have a little bump right here. But you might not like that. You might need to just work on kind of squeezing it out. Using your hand as a paddle is totally great. So I'm going to keep on covering up this seam using my coil.